It's trouble.
We
Going on?
were,
Hey,
just
mate.
before we went live, we were absolutely talking shit about the big man, Mr. Lockie Lawrence. But he is still arrived inside of the standard student arrival time of 5 minutes late. So we're going to allow it. But welcome. It is Q&A time. It is Wednesday, the 20th of August. I just had a monster day in the office. I was just saying to Maxine, woke up, the family's been unwell, and I'm definitely fighting something. And that's one of those days where you're just like, I'm just going to fucking suck this up and get on with it, because we do not call in sick for shifts unless you are problematic for people. Like like, as most of you know, I had been to work 10 days after breaking my elbow and just taped that bitch together and kept going. So you just get on with it. But now I've built that as a mantra, and that's probably its own problem. But that's a conversation for another night. I'm going to share my screen and get tonight going. For those playing at home, you will notice. Wait for it. Give me a big thumbs up if you can see. There we go. So there, everyone can see that.
I just see a black screen.
Yeah, I see a
and
black
you.
screen as well.
That's not the vibe I'm looking for. Give me 1 second. This might do it. See, I can see a black screen as well, but I kind of thought that wasn't doing what it's meant to do. All right, watch this happen. This is why we stop sharing that. This is why we prep. All right, let me try this again. Round 2, sharing of screen. Still black or no black?
It says you've started screen sharing, but I can't see
Okay.
anything.
The wheel of death.
I know why. One moment. This is I'm getting caught in my own technology. I've got 2 screens running and I can't figure out which one it is. So give me a second.
Oh.
I might have to unplug the screen desktop. My desktop just, I'm like, it's on the shitty one too. I think it's on this one. That's one. All right. Oh, that's desktop 2 there. All right. Let's see if this works. Let's see. All right. So you've got a background with me now. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, we're on.
All right. Now let me see. Now we're going to try and bring this up. And let's see. It's going to let me do it.
We're on.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is why you're testing. But we're on. For those playing at home and have been hanging around for a while, we've gone for a bit of a colorscape change, just because why not? I'm vibing on it. So we're going to do it. But a couple of big things tonight. I am very excited. We have one of our amazing new members, Eden, has joined us tonight. We had a bunch of crew that are in the pipeline, so I am very excited as this group grows. We have a couple of practice owners too, one from Melbourne and one from Queensland. Some of you would have met bloody Lockie, who's coming in, and others would have met. And I could literally see him, Nick. I was like, geez, I feel like a terrible human. Who's actually been out for 8 years and runs his own country practice. But something that tends to happen, and something I have spoken about before, is people get often siloed in solo practice, especially in country, and are just sort of existing. So he's joined in to bring a bit of, his own know-how, an 8-year practitioner, but also learn a bit of, systems, procedures, and get community around him, which I think we'll all agree, having the community around you as you're going through is going to be one of the most pivotal things to having a nice, successful, and fun career. But the big things tonight were discussion around spinal screenings, because from young Laura, and our new patient deep dive. I am going to go through the spinal screenings at the end, but we are going to go through the new patient deep dive first. For those that have been through the modules, I have changed a little bit the framework from because I made some significant changes to my new patients over the last 6 to 8 months. And this is something you're going to do throughout your career. Many of you have already probably started it. You do a new patient this way, and you learn something new, and that's better. And then you do it this way. And like over the next 1, 10, 20, 30, 40 years of practice, what you should hope is that every year it gets better and better and better. And I think, Craig Foote's talked about this a lot when he was on, or I've heard other practitioners talk about how you see people that just live the same year in practice over and over again, rather than actually having a long sustaining practice. And so for all of you, we want to be growing and developing to get that benefit. And so let's talk about it. So this was our initial consult. So this is the initial framework. It's still as live. Someone trying to get in, sorry. All good. It's still as key, but I have changed the order to better ask questions. And that is the key questions now come after the history. I just haven't updated the order through here. So you'll see as we go through. This will be tonight. It's not a test, but we will be asking questions. There will be a bit of role play going on because this is for you guys. So if you have certain areas in your new patient, if you're having problems, we want to dive it in. There are no bad questions here because the only way to get better is to ask them, right? So before we go into rapport, because this should be an obvious one, where are people finding their biggest issues within the new patient process?
I think for me, obviously just following the system that you can't really budge from it. I mean, you can probably play around with the order a little bit, but I'm finding like, and I know you probably get grilled on it at uni, but it's super pain orientated. So like those client goals, that's a big thing I want to try and work towards, but trying to get away well pretty much how obviously you guys will probably know, but like you do your presenting complaint and there's just so much in regards to pain in it, and then you get down to the client goals, which I mean probably my fault. I could easily change it around and just do the goals first, but you've just been grilling this person for 5 minutes about, oh, okay, where does it hurt? Or, what's it stopping you from doing? All right, rate your pain at best, rate your pain at worst, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to client goals, and then they're like 9 times out of 10, it's, to reduce pain. But
yeah,
I've been doing a little bit of work on communication, and one of the main things it's been telling me is like pain is trying to get people out of that symptomatic health belief. Anyway, I've just been struggling with trying to get pain out of. I know it is like a very important thing, but there's care beyond pain.
Perfect. And that's great. That is a great and common complaint because you're stuck in a system that is not even a system, right? It's just tick these boxes, get going.
Yeah.
Is that a similar one for Maxine, Ethan? Do you find that? Are you in 4th years? Obviously, they're just starting to go through. Are you finding that similar?
Yeah, trying to shift the concept from a pain mindset more so to a wellness mindset is difficult. But also explaining to them that 12 visits until a review, 24 visits. I don't know if this is more of a Roth kind of thing, but process of care plan as well.
Yeah. It generally will be more of a Roth thing, but it starts here, right? Because everything starts at the new patient. And Sean, I mean, you've made the transition. From how did you not from the way that you're all thinking there, that he's still a man, but don't cancel me. But more importantly, how did you find that jump from Murdoch uni practice into clinical practice with your new patient?
It's hard, man. I feel like, I don't know, uni hones so much on getting people out of pain, being safe, whatever. But at the end of the day, your job is to be, or in my perspective, your job is to be a chiropractor. And the chiropractor realistically works on getting you out of pain and then transitioning you to wellness. So when people come into my clinic, what I actually do is I offer them and I say, okay, we get them out of pain first, whatever the frequency of care is for that. And then from there, I get them to do an x-ray or whatever it is, and then we kind of look at the wellness side of it, and I say, would you like to continue on and be more wellness based? Because when people come in, you can't just assume that they want to be wellness based.
Yeah.
You got to sort their care out. When they're out of pain, that's when I transition to wellness.
Yeah.
So that's my own thing, but not everybody does that.
Yeah. And listen, I think that the really important thing before we get started, you're going to have a very successful and fun pain-based practice, right? There's a number of people who do that if that's your vibe. And I want to make sure that no one ever feels bad about going down that, because that's a great service. It's a huge thing for people. It's not the long-term thing that I love doing. I love working with my wellness people. And I'm very much, you should always broach wellness in not necessarily the first visit, but definitely in the report. You're usually going to allude to it, have a light discussion on it. You're not necessarily going to just be like, we're going to see you for the rest of your life every 3 or 4 weeks, right? It's a process of building out that concept so they understand why you do it. And we will dive into that. But let's start this process, because I think there's a couple of keys here as we go through early that set the framework for getting good goals and also set the framework for helping people see chiropractic as more than just pain relief, right? So you'll see when you go through my new patient, when you go through the report, when you go through the daily visit, the check-in videos are just being edited now for check-ins and re-exams. You'll see that again in there. The first thing we have to do is start with rapport, right? Rapport, it's hard to express just how important this is, right? It increases the likelihood of someone, buying what you do by over 20% straight away, right? So like you can literally do the worst job ever and 1 in 5 will still buy from you just because they like you, right? It speeds up the process. You need to deliver less information because people like you and they trust you. At the end of the day, from a business point of view, you'll all be business owners as you go through, it saves marketing dollars and it saves, all this acquisition expense because you have people through retention. So rapport is important and it's a constant process. And it's a simple process of just finding common ground. And so this is one of those things, like I've just had a discussion about my stuff with this. We can all get in the habit, you go to meet a new patient, you're just like, hey, how you doing today? How you feeling today? And straight away, they're on the negative. Oh, I'm pretty rough. Oh, this and that, right? We want to find a common ground. We want to be on the same team. You want to look at how extreme us versus them mentalities can get. Just look at the US election, right? Like people are like refusing to talk to people because they voted one way. You try to get someone on your team. Now, culturally, this will vary, but a lot of time, job, right? It's also very good information for us as chiropractors because it's often going to allude to what they do. So I had a new patient this morning, a Brazilian chef. He's had back pain for over 20 years, seen people before, never got any result. And you go, all right, so what do you do with yourself? He's like, I'm a chef. He's a chef at Magdalena's. I don't know if anyone knows Magdalena's. It's a very well-known seafood restaurant down in South Rio. And so then it's so you're playing the ego bit. I was like, man, that's an awesome one. If you've been doing that for long, I was on the head chef. I'm like, man, that's epic. You must specialize in, seafood, all these things. And he told me his whole story. The whole story is about 30 seconds of when he started chefing back in Brazil to Australia to this. So instantly he already feels heard and like, I know what's going on. And I have the advantage of having been in that industry. So I was like, man, no wonder you're already here. Like, I know what it's like being a chef all day long or like with your body over the past. Those are the worst. And he's like, yeah, they are the worst. Straight away, we're on team, right? Like I could probably literally do a nothing exam, a week adjustment, and he'll still come back for his report because instantly he feels heard and he knows I know what's going on. Hobby. If people like something obscure, it's a great thing to get on. I asked this question on my new patient mainly just for this report. Oh, you do shooting, you do lawn bowls, you do like, obviously if someone says paddle tennis, fuck, I am about to run over on my like console because we're going to talk about that for 50 minutes. But again, when you meet someone that likes what you do, you're like almost automatically friends, right? Like show of hands on the camera, who's sort of solo traveled or small group traveled through say like Europe or another major continent. I'm assuming someone has done some traveling, right? And so you're going through and you're like, you're having a good time. Everyone, especially if you're in the UK or something, speaks English, so it's an added advantage. And then you hear an accent come through. Now, it doesn't even have to be an Australian accent, because I experienced this. It can be a Kiwi one. And I'm like, that's close as fucking enough. That's about to be my next best friend, right? Like the same people that I would go to war with about their rugby team and my rugby team, if I find them in the right place, they are now my best friend. That's why finding these subtleties are so important. And then if you still got nothing, location. Oh, I see you live in Hilton. What do you think of that? I see you live in, Armadale, but in Melbourne, the nice one, not the shitty one here. No offense to anyone. Right. I live there, or I know someone who lives there. Like it's a stretch, but instantly it brings something in. And then finally, just being born in the same month or year as someone increases the likelihood that they will want to do business with you. Right. So there's a number of things to hit, but this should happen on the way in. This is why I always go and get new patients. I never have them waiting in the room. We go, we grab them, and we just like, hey, Lockie, or Lachlan, you go by what the name they said they want to be called. Great to meet you. I'm Nathan, come down here. And then I might ask something along the lines of, what have you been doing today? Because that's going to give you, a little lead into hobby. And then, I saw on the form that you are a chiropractic student. What's that like? And then actually be interested. If you nail this, everything from now on is easy. I promise you that. Right? Like I feel like it's one of those ones that we seem like it's real trivial, but it makes a massive difference, right? And then we go to history, right? So we're trying to get very specific things through the history. I know when you're at uni, you have to follow the system, but I guarantee you can get this in the system, right? So the first thing above all else is we have to elicit their primary driver, right? So what do you think I mean by a primary driver?
The reason they're there.
Yeah, the reason there, but what if they have multiple things?
The one that's causing the most grief.
The one that's most important, all right? Because sometimes it's not the most painful one, it's the one that's stopping them doing them all. It will also, uni clinic apart, speed up your history, right? Because if I go in and I'm like, hey Maxine, great to see you. I see you've come in with headaches. And you're like, yeah, I've got headaches. I go, all right, how long have you had the headaches? You know, this episode, you know, I've had them for 3 weeks. You're great. When's the first time you ever had a headache? And so I know Maxine gets headaches. When was the first time you ever had headaches?
4 years ago?
4
Not.
years, right?
Ages ago. I don't know.
Yeah. But I want her to say it in years, right? Because what have I just done?
Made her realize how long it's been going on.
Yeah, I've established chronicity, right?
Mm.
It's gone from being a, you know, this just started 3 weeks ago to this has been going on for 5 years, 6 years, right? Which is really important when you go to report a findings. If someone's just had a recent flare up and there's no chronicity there, and you're like, I'm going to see you twice a week for 12 weeks, then we're going to do this. They're like, but this only just happened. So getting that timeline in is really, really important, right? But coming back to the primary driver, so we've got that, and then I'll usually be like, all right, anything else on the spine that I should know about? And she might go, I get a bit of low back pain. All right, cool. What about off the spine? She went, I get some elbow soreness. Well, she might give me something weird. You know, I get bunions in my feet. Hopefully not, makes sense. The problem is I've now brought it up, so I'm going to deal with it. And I'll usually finally ask, you know, have you got any other specialists you're seeing for anything? Just so you know 100% what's going on. And then we want to use this process that Brad Gawacki talks about, basically parking stuff that you're not going to deal with, right? So then we're like, all right, you've got the headaches that are going on for a while now. You've got that sort of niggly low back pain. You mentioned the elbow. The bunions, listen, we're going to look at that in the exam because we don't ignore anything. But out of the neck, you know, if the neck pain, the back or the elbow, if I could wave a wand and get rid of one right now, which one would it be? And they're going to tell you. And then they've basically just told you what they want you to get sorted as a priority. And I listen, I will always say, I'm not going to ignore anything. We will definitely examine the whole body, but let's hammer in on that. So again, now I'm not going to spend, 40 minutes on a history going about, 1942, I kicked my foot, and ever since then I've had arthritis on my right toe, and then this happened here and all those things. We're just going straight into it, right? Within this, and one of the things that will drive your goals, right? Limitations. What are they being limited with? Is it affecting training? Is it affecting that hobby? How's your sleep? How's your energy? How's work? And what you're trying to pick a few things. One, you're looking for clear deficits, right? Like, what are they giving you? Because then when you come to goals, you've already got things that you can offer to them that they can match onto. Two, as you get better and better, you get better at reading body language. And you can start to hear what they actually care about. Because they might tell you, like, I can't work because I've got these headaches. I've been able to train in the gym, and, I'm having real trouble not, losing it at my kids. And then you're like, all right, so let's make a goal that, we're going to get you back in the gym. You're going to be able to go 3 times a week and not have any issues. Then you're going to be able to go 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and we have a full month where you can go 5 times a week and it's all clear. How's that sound? Oh, yeah, right. But then we realize that wasn't actually, they want going to the gym. What they really care about, say, is their work. I can't get a full day's work. So you have to try and find what that primary thing is, because that's going to actually matter to them. And when you get that result, that makes them want to continue on, right? We then are going to drop into causative factors. And people are very good at usually telling you what they think cause things, right? Would we all tend to agree that people usually have got an offer, even if it's absolutely ludicrous that they think that has caused it? They usually have something to offer, right? Rarely do you get someone just be like, I have no idea why this could have happened to me. So ask it, why do you think this happened? And then if it's trivial or they're not sure, that's where we go down the list. Do you have any history of major accidents or surgeries that I should know about? No. All right, cool. What about growing up? Sports? Did you play a lot of sports? Anything like that? No. All right, cool. What do you do for work? Oh, you do, like I said, oh, you're a chef. My chef guy was like, so your average day, what, 8 to 12 hours? He's like, yeah, probably 10 to 12 hours standing. I've been doing it for 20 years. I usually do 50 plus hours a week. Oh, that makes sense as to why you've got this going on, right? Because a lot of little things can make something big. And so you're just connecting dots for people to go, all right, well, that could be it. The other one, and this is one of Martin Harvey's that I love, is if there has been something trivial, like they blew out their back putting their socks on, or it has been going for a while, you can use the 2 parts to a problem idea, which is when you go, what seems like to me, Maxine, is what we've got here is 2 parts to your problem. There's what you're feeling, and then there's the underlying problem that looks like it's been building in for quite some time. It's finally sort of kicked things over the edge, and that's why you're starting to feel this. Does that make sense? Right? Because then you've given this idea that, oh, that shouldn't have happened with something so trivial, or this shouldn't be going on with such a small time frame at this level. It must have been building in, and you couldn't have known until then. Right? So that's how we get 2 parts of the problem. We then, and listen, like I said, at Murdoch, at any of the unis, you sort of find your ways to filter this through. But the other one I think is really, really important is the other practitioners. Because you want to know who they're working with. Do you have a GP that you're seeing currently? Do you have a physio, massage? Have you seen a chiropractor before? Right? If they have a GP, don't shit on the GP. It should be obvious that a lot of people have good relationships. Don't just be like, wow, we're going to get rid of them because GPs suck. It's not a thing. There's a lot of great GPs out there. It's a compliment. Oh, that's great that you're taking care. If you've heard of them and they've got a good reputation, tell them that. And the chiropractor, what you want to find out if they have seen a chiropractor before, what did they like and what didn't they like? What were the results like? And then you never shit on another practitioner, but you might differentiate yourself, right? Oh, they just use this clicker thing. Oh, yeah, the activator. Listen, some people get great results that we use something a bit different. So it'd be great that we can go open to try something new, right? Oh, I saw this person. Did they take x-rays? No, they didn't. Oh, all right, interesting. Is that like, again, you're not putting anyone down. You're just separating yourself as something different. Because if it's exactly the same, why are they there? Right?
Mm.
And then we want an emotional response, right? You want to go through. I go, all right, so you've seen this, all right, Maxine, you've had headaches, you've seen the GP, they put you on medication. You've also seen the physio, shot for a bit, but then it came back. We've had a lot of massage, and we've been doing a lot of exercise work, but would it be fair to say nothing has fixed it yet? I mean, you already know nothing's fixed it because they're in your office, right? But yeah, and then often this is where you get the emotional response. That's got to be really annoying. And usually someone's going to give you like, it's actually quite debilitating, or I'm really feeling old before my time. And I will put that in my notes, and then I will use that in their report to remind them how they're feeling, because that is an emotional connection to what's going on for them. And it's not manipulative. It's key to helping them understand how it's affecting them, how to get best results. And that comes to the key question stuff we'll have in a moment. Finally, goals. And you have to frame this, right? Because if you go to someone, and this is probably where you'll get lucky, like, especially because you've already built this big idea of, it's going to be how much pain are you in, what's it worth, what's going on, it's all pain, right? With goals, we want to use what we call time, distance, weight. So you want to find goals that can be bridged down into time, distance, or weight. And you want to aim for about 5 goals, right? So if someone says they're struggling to get to sleep, you're like, well, how much are you sleeping? I'm lucky if I get 4 hours a night. Sweet. So as we start to adjust to you, if you suddenly were getting 6 hours, 7, 8, you could do that for 2 days, and then you do that for like 2 weeks. Would that be good? Right? So we have time-based, and we always start with simple ones, and then we have a bit of a jump, because again, just being able to sleep once for like 6, 7, 8 hours is not enough. We need longer. Same with distance. When you're getting like my gym athletes, I hurt myself when I deadlift. All right. Well, how much are you deadlifting? I was deadlifting 100. Cool. All right. So what are you You back in the gym? I am. What are you doing now? I'm doing 40. All right. Well, if we could get you doing 50, 60, 70, 80, and then back to 100, feeling good and then pushing past it, would that sound good? Yeah, that would sound great. And then distance, runners, right? Runners are the classics, right? Like, I can't do it, run more than 5Ks without pain. All right. Well, if we could get you to 5K, well, what are you doing now? I'm doing 4. All right. Can we get you to 4.5, 5, 6, 10, right? These are the things that they go for, and you can offer it to it. Now, Australians are very, very bad at goals. We have massive tall poppy syndrome. We hate telling people how we want to achieve things. So sometimes you have to milk it out. The more obscure you can be, the better this tends to work. Ironically, it works really well with like older, burlier men when you go a bit weird. So it's like, if I could wave a magic wand over your body and we just disappear it, what would you like to do? Oh, I'd just like to feel better. Well, what would that let you do? Oh, just live. What do you mean by that? Like, what aren't you doing now? Oh, I'm just pushing through. What do you have to push through? Oh, just doing the shopping and the cleaning every day. All right, now we're getting somewhere, right? So you have to really dig it. And then sometimes you just have to be like, listen, man, legally I need something to be compliant. Can you just throw me a bone here and like, tell me some stuff you want to do? Right?
Mhm.
So it can be hard. It is an area where I actually think if you're doing a good history, the goals is probably your longest point. Like a lot of this is yes, no. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Great. Goals. Because these are the cement. And then what you want to do once you have goals to make sure they're actually good, you are all right. So you and I are sitting together in the future here, and you have run your 12Ks. How's that going to feel? And you want to dive in that. Oh, I'm going to feel amazing. Oh, why is that? Well, I thought I'd never be able to run again, and all my friends are doing it, and I'm not getting to be involved, and I'm missing out on this social time. So it'll be so nice to be able to connect and feel confident again. Boom, we're locked in, right? So getting that emotional attachment. Go on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like really focusing in on those really specific to them goals, almost putting it into that emotional sense. Like, yeah, or like, if you're a runner, increasing their running, that's gonna probably lead into them actually sticking out care.
Yeah.
as well.
100%. Right.
Really,
And it's like
yeah.
the goal is important, but it's the emotion that drives it, right? And it comes back to this adage, and it is our next part of this. Like, people don't come to you for pain, they come to you for what the pain is doing to them, whether emotional, physical, whatever it is, right? No one just goes, oh, my back hurts coming in. But there has to have been some limitation, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, to make the decision. As much as they will love and argue and life, right? And listen, as I said to one of my associate not long ago, he's like, I'm having trouble getting them all out. I was like, well, even if you get a couple, and then you tell them, hey, I really want you to have when you're prepping them for the report of findings, I want you to have a think. And I'm going to check in with you when we catch up, and let's really make sure we've got the right things so we can get best results for you. And I will frame this, hey, my people that get the best results, it's because we set specific goals. Because it's hard for me to know how you're doing if we have a fuzzy target. So I need these goals to get the best results for you. Right? You got to hold the line. And if you don't, like if you let patients lead care, you will follow. That's a hard time. Right? So history. The key questions. And like I was talking about this before. Why here? Why now? Right? I've moved this to here because these are ones I now use if people are not giving me what I need. If people are just sort of piss-farting around, oh, no issue, no, there's like, all right, so why are you here now? Like, why here? Oh, someone said you're good. Oh, you had good Google reviews. Or so like, oh, I tried everything else. All right. Why now? Like, what changed? Like, you said you've had this for 6 months, 12 months, 10 years. What made you do this now? And you can have that hard conversation. And I've told people, hey, people don't book into me because they're in pain. They're booking me because something's changed. What's changed? Why now? And so these are great questions that you can filter in to pull things out of people. Now, obviously, if you get that, it's usually like the 45 to 60-year-old woman who just wants to tell you everything. Like, you've got to do the opposite where you're like, hold on, just want to double check something with you there, Ethan. You're now my old lady. You said your low back pain's been going on for about 10 years. It's gone down the leg. You also had that up top, right? And you're like, yeah, great. Now let me explain to you what we do. So you acknowledge, you repeat, and then you move that shit on. Because otherwise you'll spend 40 minutes getting useless information, right? And it's not impolite. It's helping them get the result they want. Now, the magic one we spoke around before, but again, this is another one of those drivers. Anytime someone's not giving something, it's like, well, it sounds funny, but if I'm dressed as a fairy right now and I waved a magic wand and it disappeared, how would that affect you? Right? The obscurity is what makes it work, because it's not affronting, it's kind of comical, and so people lean into it. I often get like, we have some nice giggles and then we start leaning into it. So again, they're key questions because you can filter them in. I used to open with these before I changed my structure, less the magic wand, just going through, and it can be great, but I now find if I can drive the other structure, I use these to open up doors when the people don't want to allow it to happen. Cool. And then we have to frame, right? Anyone who's hung around for long enough know that when we frame, we have to frame what things are going to look like, right? So one of the first things we need to frame for people is that you're not going to magically fix it today, right? And I say, obviously you want to get this sorted, right? Yeah, definitely, cool. You obviously know that I'm not going to be able to fix it all today, right? And sometimes we're like, I'll do my best, but it's not going to happen. They're like, oh yeah, of course, right? It's going to take more than my visit. Great. We've already acknowledged that. We've ticked that box, right? And then we go, all right, now I need to explain to you about chiropractic or how I do chiropractic, right? And so you're going to need to practice and set your own, let's say, philosophy, however you want to frame it, because that's important, right? This should take 60 seconds tops. So you just like, listen, so let me tell you what we're going to do today. So as a chiropractor, I'm all about body function. I want to see how your brain communicates through your spine, out through every nerve, to every bone, muscle, joint, tendon, organ in the body. And when your body functions well, your muscles fire, your body moves, and you feel great, and everything works well. Unfortunately, over time, we can have changes to the way the body functions. So that comes from physical stress, from accidents or standing or sitting down too much, chemical stress with what you put in your body, and then the one that everyone ignores, which is emotional stress, which is family, friends, work, life. And usually it's all three over time that lead to changes in how your spine and body function. The beautiful thing is your body's very adaptable. So this can often go on for months to years before we actually have pain and other problems. So our goal today is to see how your body's functioning, so we can not just get you feeling good, but we can keep you there long term. Right? So there's my basic chiropractic. So I'm like, all right, examination. So on the examination, I'm going to start by looking at your movement. I'm going to look at posture, because that's a reflection of how you've adapted to movement previously. I'm then going to see how your neck, shoulder, mid back, and low back, how they're all moving, and more importantly, where they're not. I'm then going to put you through a really important test, which is a balance test that shows me how those joints are sending information back up to the brain. From there, we're going to head to the table, and that's when we're going to look at strength. We're going to see the connection of the nerves through your neck and low back that go out to all the muscles in the arms and legs, and make sure there's nothing being obstructed there. Finally, I'm going to put you through a bit of orthopedic testing just to rule out any of the nasties. And then I'm going to have you lying down, and I'm going to feel through every joint of your spine, just see what's moving and what's not. At that time, if we have all the info we need, I'm going to adjust you. Today is less is more. Not that we're going to hold anything back, but just because something can help, it can also hinder, and I need to make sure we take a graded approach. Does that sound fair? Yeah, great. And then in my practice, we do that. And finally, just let you know, you would have met my assistant, in this case, Maxine, on your way in. At the end, she's going to do some postural photography, some bilateral weight scales, and some grip strength testing, so I get a full framework of exactly where you're at, so we can make the best plan for you. Sound good? Great. There's a question that I can hear is just brewing in the background. Does anyone know what it is? Come on, Sean. I'm looking at you.
I don't know.
What didn't I mention?
I'm not gonna lie, I was partially listening.
Classic Sean. Can't
Standard.
trust it.
Standard.
X-rays, right?
Oh yeah.
What,
Yeah.
am I going to take an image? Right? If you know you're most likely going to take an image, tell them as soon as you know. Right? Hey, based on how long this has been going on for, or even have you ever had the imaging? No. Oh, based on how long it's going on for, I think we probably should. I'm going to send you for a full spine X-ray. It's all bulk build. You're in that 20 minutes. So it's just going to give us a clear idea of where your structure's at, so we can make the best plan. Sound great? Great. Or I'll be like, hey, listen, we may need to send for X-rays. I'll let you know as I go through the evaluation. If I'm finding things that suggest we will, I'll let you know straight away. If not, we won't. Sound fair? Great. Right? Never spring things on people. If you think you're going to do it early. It's like if you think you're not going to be able to adjust someone on that visit, let them know straight away. Even early, hey, listen, let me tell you one of the things we're definitely going to do, not going to do today. We're not going to be able to adjust you because I need to do a full evaluation and review that before I can do that. Now, I do adjust for the first visit of my practice. Obviously, at the university, you can't always do that. But I have no problem if people don't. But you need to let people know. Don't just at the end be like, sweet, now I'm going to send you for x-rays and I'll get you back. And they're like, where's my adjustment? You're like, oh, no, I'm not adjusting it today. So if you're not going to adjust on a visit, let them know straight away. Hey, one of the things we won't do today is we will not adjust because I need to make sure it's the right thing for you. Does that make sense? Great. So that's it. So now they have the frame. And this is where it gets easy. Like, this has been the longest part up until here, right? Now we're into the exam. And, because we've got a new face on the call tonight, well, two newish faces. I'm going to put this one straight on Maxine. What is the number one rule of an exam, Maxine?
I don't know.
Sean, come on. I've definitely lectured you.
Number one rule in terms of what context?
In terms of what should you do on an exam?
Should assess them. Make sure that you get the right results.
Explain everything you're doing.
Clutching. No, the number one rule for an exam is that we only do stuff that we can retest. Right?
Oh.
Neither.
Nobody gives a shit how many different tests you know. Like, you do Myers, we do movements, we do these things. Like, if you can't be retested, I would say the one caveat to that is potentially blood pressure and pulse, which can be retested, but you're not necessarily looking for major changes in that, though we do see it if you look at the research. But if it doesn't have an ability to be retested, it should not be part of your regular exam, because we're all going to have a standard battery of tests, right? Like I do, like I just said, a posture. I do a goniometer measure of the neck, and then I'll just do general eyeballing of shoulders, thoracic, lumbar. I do a Fukuda's March test, an upper and lower myo. I will do a slumps, a maximal foraminal compression, and a vascular clearing test. Orthopedic tests are also one of those ones that I will only, like, I'm just doing that more as a tick box on the form. But if you had, like, say, a shoulder complaint, you consider orthopedics as a retestable thing, right? It's a tag test. Was it painful when we did this? No, it's not. And then I do a spinal touch and tell just to get them know more about what's going on, which I'll do again as I check through, right? But your exam should be, when done efficiently, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Like, it actually doesn't take a long time if you're fluid to examine someone. Like, again, Sean, you're getting picked on because you're in clinical practice, but an exam doesn't take a long time, right?
Not at all.
Like, especially
Not if you're
when
selective.
Not when you are not hamstrung by the university requirements, right? The uni, you're going to do it. But, like, I do a cranial nerve exam once every 3 to 4 months, right? Like, and usually it's on someone that I've previously seen and they've gone and they're reactivated and they've had some kind of vertigo or thing. And I'm like, all right, going to deep dive this. But it's not something I'm going to do regularly unless there's a major complaint that indicates it needs to be done, right? If someone comes in and they, like, I'm going to be honest, vascular exam, I'm going to send them to the doctor, right? Like, there's stuff that you should have, like kidney developments and stuff. Like, some of these basic skills are great for quick things, right? But 99% of it, you're just going to be like, you need to go to the doctor. And we're blessed to be in positions where there's plenty of that available, right? So, again, don't try and prove to people how knowledgeable we are by showing them all the things you can do. They don't care. People don't care how much you know. They care if you care. So more is not better. It can't be retested. It probably has little value. Because how do you show someone that it was positive and now it's negative? Right? Mm-hmm. Any questions on the exam before we talk about how we actually connect it?
Yeah, good history.
Yeah.
Like a good history just cuts out all the fluff from the exam, really.
100%, right? And like a good history doesn't take that long either.
Will you do in your exam, from the history, if you know what's going on, will you do 1 or 2 tests that will provoke it to know that, sort of to let them know?
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, if you get someone who's got a real acute presentation, like super acute presentation, I often will send them for pain control before I do anything. Like I know people come in super aggravated, right? Super hot disc. Hey, right now, I'm really not going to help you, right? First step for you is probably go see your GP, get a bit of pain control, and then let's see you next week when it's starting to come off, and we'll start a process here, right? If I was in a regional town, I'd probably have to manage things more, but being in a metropolitan centre, you're better off handing that one off. Because, yeah, if the first time you have a very acute hot disc that then can't get off your table, and then you've got to carry them up and the people waiting to get in, this person's yelling, like, you learn pretty quickly, it's not your job to fix everything at once. And sometimes your best thing you can do for someone is to send them elsewhere. Go, hey, let's go. They're probably going to want to put you on some Celebrex, something like that, or some other painkillers. They're going to guide you. And then I want to move your appointment to next week on. It's Friday now. We're going to do it in a week. But I'll check in with you on Monday to see how it's transitioned over the week. And we may bring it in because then we'll actually be able to start doing work. But right now, I'm equal chances of making it more annoyed than I am helping it. Right? So you just have that honest conversation. People really appreciate it. So it is like 100%. But on the other side, if it is like a hot facet or it's an SRJ or again, disc, but not a hot disc, I will provoke it within reason. Once I know it's positive, I don't need to provoke it again, right? Like I don't need to do a shear test, then a slumps test, then a straight leg raise. Then like it's just like, all right, that was positive. We can move on now. Right? I'm probably not sidelining this thing. But this is poignant right now because then we have to connect the dots. You have to explain to people why it matters when you're doing it. Hey, did you notice how you could move it? You see how you can't hold that through? That means that we're getting weakness on this nerve, which means it's been building up for a while. See how when you bent forward on this test, you didn't get shooting pain, but you got that stiffness and that sort of neural thing there. That means we've got compression around it, right? Oh, see when I press down on this T6 here, so this vertebra here, this area goes around the rib cage. Often it's been going on for a while. We get a bit of shortness of breath. Have you seen that yet? Right? You are making them understand why you're doing stuff, not just showing them you can do it. And you have to make it relevant to them. Hey, you see how that you can't even look over your left shoulder. No wonder you've been getting neck pain. I imagine checking your blind spots are fun. And these people are like, yeah, I just sort of risk it, right? But it has to be connection. Just doing a bunch of shit and like not explaining why you're doing it means nothing to them, right? So you have to connect it. Even if it's simple, hey, we're doing blood pressure just because we need to rule some things out. Do you know what a normal blood pressure is? Oh, great. It's 120/80, 110/70 be super good. Let's see where you're at, right? So just let them connect into what you're doing because this is part of transitioning people from pain to prevention to wellness. One of the cardinal signs that someone is in a prevention mindset is they want to know about your testing because they understand that your testing can show you something that they can't tell you, right? So if you're a pain patient, they want to tell you all about their pain. Prevention person was like, what does the test say? You know, what's my leg length? What's my posture say? What's my strength say? You know, like that is one of the signs. And then the final stage of pure performance and wellness is where people basically use chiropractic like chiropractors, where they go, you know, I've got a big tournament coming up, so I thought I'd get an extra adjustment in so that I play my best. And I've also booked a follow-up just after it so then I recover even better. But you don't even have to tell them, people just do it. Right? But this is the pre-frame of letting them know that my testing tells me things that you can't feel. And that's how we start to build that bridge. Right. The wow experience, right? So the wow experience is through the hierarchy of influence. Does people know what the, like, I mean, there's a lot of hierarchies of influence, I know, but like in terms of how someone experiences something, do we know how the hierarchy works? What's most impactful to least impactful?
Most impactful is their personal experience. Then it's them saying it out loud.
Yeah. So it's basically like bang on. So the top one is they experience something and then they say it out loud, right? Followed by them experiencing it but not voicing it. And then the lowest form is something that you tell them.
You telling them,
yeah. Yeah, right? So in your exam, you want to have a wow experience, right? So the group that probably had the best of this are your AKA practitioners, right? Because it was weak, they do something and it goes strong. Or they're weak, they reposition the body, it goes strong, right? So you want to find something within there. So this can be myotomal testing, because they can't hold against you through something and they're absolutely mystified by it. this can be leg length. It's harder because it's harder for them to experience. This can be touch and tell. Hey, you see when I press down there, see how that you can feel that sore, it's not moving well, right? Hey, did you know this C1 goes into the ears, eyes, nose, throat, and people that have this chronically often wake up with a lot of congestion? Do you see that for yourself? And they're like, yeah, I do. I just thought it was seasonal allergy, but like, it's like, what may not be? But like, there's an experience of them being told something and then connecting the dot through there, right? Adjusting on the first visit also can be part of the wow experience. And so you could measure something on a goniometer, adjust them, and then retest it and show them that it's improved after, right? By the same token, you can then, on the report of findings, retest it. And what you'll probably see is it's still improved, but it's not as improved as it was, which leads further into why we need repetition, right? Again, there is no bigger thing than people talking about what they experienced out loud. It's also one of the primary drivers of referrals. I've seen someone on a new patient and they have sent someone like 5, 6 people in because they're excited. And it was all around like, they said you did this thing where like they weren't strong and then they got strong again. And I was like, man, I need to come check that out, right? So what we see often as very trivial things are very, very big. And so just having one of these that's real experience is big. I know actually, and I'm not going to lecture for too long, one of my former associates, Ryan, used to do what's called a wall test. Where you get someone to do like, like a wall angel, like you get them flat head, shoulders, hips, ankles, and they put their arm out and you ask them, where do they feel tension, right? You then adjust them and gets them to do it again and ask them what they notice. And 99 times out of 100, they're like, oh, I can actually get my body to here. I can feel I don't have that pulling through there, right? That's a wow experience for someone, right? And so again, takes nothing if you just integrate it the right way. But if you connect that dot, again, it's obvious people are coming to the report. It's obvious they're getting on a plan because they've had the experience. Cool. Now, this is giant for a reason. Quick review. You do not need to spend another 40 minutes being like, well, this is what we saw today. This is what we did. This is the results. This is what's going on. Like, you should recap, but it should be 30 seconds, which is like, hey, it's great to look after you today. We've given you an adjustment. What I think is primarily going on is, you have an L5% drone, you have a postural overload, you have whatever it is. In my opinion, this is a chiropractic case, but I'm going to need to see how you respond. I'm going to need to go through your results. So what I'm going to do is get you booked for your follow-up, right? Like quick. If you spend a lot of time on this, you're literally talking someone out of coming back. You're confusing them. So it is a quick, simple review. The way I like to think of this, it should be so simple that when they get home, and in most cases their like partner goes, what did they say? This is what they say. Because one of the issues we often get caught out in, this is why you want to bring report findings back in quickly, is people go for a week and they're a bit sore and it's come back and it's almost like, oh, chiro, that's not going to work. You should go see the physio, right? This review helps protect you. You're like, hey, like, this is what's going on. This is how we get it. We're just going to need to get on top of this. Yeah, explain to it like if they're a 5-year-old. So, hey, you get an L5% syndrome, which just basically means the movement joints in your low back are jamming together and irritating and causing inflammation. That's happening because your body's not moving well overall, and we need to get on top of that, but I just need to see how you move first. Does that make sense? Great. It's really that easy, right? It does not need to be over the top. Like, show of hands, and this is myself included, who's ever done it? Right? Like, if you like, yes, you guys still, but you try and over explain it. Sometimes you get patients, and it's usually engineers or bloody architects and accountants that are like, also exactly what's going on, how's this going on? I was like, just fucking, let's see how the body responds, brother. Let it breathe, and we'll get it going on. And then we have to give them the next steps, right? Because again, if you don't lead, you will follow. It's written here for a reason. So what to expect? I like the 3-option model. Hey, I expect to see 1 of 3 things from you from here. You're going to feel good, and that's going to hang around. Or it'll hang around for a little bit, and then because the body's a creature of habit, it'll start going back. Those are the most common. The third thing is you may pull up a bit sore tomorrow, kind of like you took a big gym session, like muscle sore. If you get a bit of a walk and a move, and and a bit of water in today, we should avoid that. But if it does happen, it's actually a really good thing. And so what have I just protected myself against there?
Them blaming the soreness on you.
100%. But not so much blaming it. It's more being normalizing it, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
no,
So, because again, coming back to this other idea, they go see you, they pull up sore, which is normal. They tell their partner, and the partner's like, oh, you need to go see the GP. Right? They cancel the appointment. Oh, you pull up sore. The chiro told me I was going to be sore. That dude's a fucking magician. He knew. Can't wait to see it, right? So again, communication breakdown is what causes all major issues. So it's about protecting that, right? So once we have that, we then go further testing. So I have CA-led testing. So I was like, I'm going to get my assistant to come through. They're going to do your posture, your grip strength, and also your bounce testing. And they're going to organize your next appointment and your x-rays for me, right? If you don't have that, you might do it yourself. I want to see you within 72 hours. So I will frame that you'll probably feel good and they'll drop back over the next 72 hours. I want to see you in 72 hours, within 72 hours to see how you're going. And then imaging, they're going to organize that. You'll be able to get that beforehand. It only takes 20 minutes. It's coming straight to me, right? So whatever it is for you, but I'm telling them what they need to do, right? And that sort of goes from there. And then like, if they're like, oh, when should I come back? You're like, well, I want to see in this time because it's what research says. Oh, how often am I going to need to come in? Listen, I need to see how you respond and I need to see what your testing says, including your x-ray or the other thing. And then I'll be able to tell you exactly what we need to do. Does that make sense? Great. And sometimes you have the question, oh, are you going to give me exercises? Hey, I just want to see how you respond first. Because if I give you a bunch of stuff to do and then you pull up quite sore, I don't know whether it's the exercise work, the adjustment. So I just want to space it out, but we are definitely going to give you stuff to do, but I need to see how you respond first. Does that make sense? Yes. All right, cool. All right. So again, this should take no time at all. Like my initial's done over 45. My aim is to hand over the patient with 10 minutes to spare. So at 35 minutes, I hand over to my CA so they have time. I have time to finish my notes and then I roll into my next patient. All right. Also, those who know my practice, usually another doc needs to go in that room. So if I run over, I block them. I spent most of my career doing 30-minute initials. I moved to 45s because I changed my equipment, and now I just do it because I'm happy to do it that way. Right? But my goal is still not to use all the time. If you're at Murdoch or any of the other use, you got a 90-minute initial, you should be trying to crush through that as fast as you can. Right? Like if you have clinicians that are moving fast, you should be able to get through that in under 45. Or under an hour at worst. Like 45 of that hour and a half is for clinician interaction. So if you're running over on a 90, and it's not because you can't get a clinician, problems, right? But it's future one. And we all know those people. I'm sure Sean had a few in his year group.
The whole year group, mate. No, I'm kidding.
Oh. But like starting up, you will, because you're fumbling, you're mumbling, you're doing all things. That's why having that set up on visual outcomes, even though it's a trash system, is great because you've got something to work off, right? But your goal is to get efficient. And it's not to try and speed through and ignore things. It's just to be efficient. Because when you walk out into practice, you're going to be expected to do between a 30 and 45 minute initial. And you should be able to, because almost everyone else can. So you should be practicing for that as much as you can. All right? So I'm just going to come back to it there. That is a bit of a deep dive down through our initial. Is there any burning questions about any of it or anything we didn't cover? Any areas we're having issues that we want to talk about?
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, let's do it.
You mentioned that you do your like outcome measure physical exams, like all the weight scales and stuff. Do you get your receptionist to do that?
Yes.
And do they do that before or after you assess them?
After.
Yeah.
Which, listen, I do well, we'd probably do it before. One of the clinics I was in, they used to do the posture scan before. It's an awkward interaction because the person's like, hey, before you actually meet the doctor, we're going to take some photos of you. So, like, because also when you re-examine them, you tend to re-examine them after a bunch of adjustments as well. So I don't think it creates a major deficit. I also use an online, like, health outcome tracker called Chiro Outcomes, which will bar graph a bunch of different features. So I get these nice, pretty sort of graphs. I get the weight distributions. And again, it's more just so you have complete pictures, because my goal as I transition someone through an initial care plan to a longer one is some of this stuff is no longer needed. So yeah, I don't routinely re-X-ray people, so I transition to posture pro, right? Once the baseline scales are balanced, I don't keep testing it, right? So once certain stuff equalizes, I won't test it. My usual, like from a wellness re-exam, which I've been tidying up lately, is basically just movement, balance, upper and lower Maya, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because that's going to be able to pick anything that's starting to go backwards functionally. And then if I saw some backward steps, I might deep dive on some things. But in general, it's just going to clear through.
So in terms of the order, you will bring them in, and that last 10 minutes, that last 10-minute gap you're talking about is when the receptionist takes them in, does the posture, does everything, etc.
Exactly, right. So I'll finish, obviously I'm in the open plan bay, I'll finish and I let them know these steps, and then I will tell them to head back into the room, leave your shoes off, have a relax, I'm going to go get the boss. They come out, I go, hey Maxine, I've got Lockie here, we're going to get him in, it's Monday, I want to see him Wednesday or Friday, I'm going to organise his x-ray referral, the closest one's probably going to be Booragoon, or the CA will know where they live because Booragoon is Claremont for me. Can you go do the testing and then organise that for him?
Yep.
And then I'll either walk back down to do the handover, or most of the time I don't even do that. They already know she's coming, she rolls in, she leads them through, and then I basically am already adjusting someone by the time they come out.
So you're verbally saying this to the receptionist, but are you writing this down so she knows when she's on the computer, she knows frequency of care, or she has to remember the frequency of care?
That's done at the ROF.
Yeah, it's done at the ROF.
Oh yeah, of course. That makes sense, yeah.
So this, all I'm telling you is when I want to see them again.
But Nathan will say it in front of the patient as well, so that there's no like, oh, maybe we can come, whatever.
Yeah. On the ROF, I will do a direct handover with all three of us.
Mm-hmm.
So like really importantly, I always walk the reporter file because I will tell them what they're doing, get them to agree, adjust them, then walk them to the front. Usually I arrive before because they're getting the stuff. I will preemptively go, hey, I'm going to see them twice a week over the next 12 weeks, and I want to check an exam at 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and then a final re-exam at 12 weeks. And then we'll make our plan for maintenance after that. And they come through, and I'm like, hey, Ethan, I've explained everything to Maxine, so she's going to look for those 2 best days. I know we discussed that Wednesday, Friday was probably looking good for you. She can get that all booked out in advance, and she's going to take care of payment today to get everything sorted so we can get the best results from you. Maxine, I'm going to leave that in your capable hands. Have a great day. And then I roll out, right? So it's a virtual handover of authority. Because that way, they said what they say to you, and then they come out to the CA, and they're like, nah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
and so if they
exactly.
don't want to do things, then usually we try and get the CA to literally come back down and be like, hey, they said they can't do that. And I'll be like, oh, 1 second, come out and say, hey, what's going on? 90% of the time, the CA doesn't come down because they then decide to do it. We'll be like, oh, I could actually only do once a week, I think. And it's like, all right, you did mention that there, let's have this discussion, right? But again, if a patient wants to do something that's not the doctor's recommendation, that is a clinical decision. So the CA can't make that for them, right? Now, again, obviously, if anyone who's CA'd, there's a tightrope you have to walk. If someone says, oh, I'm not going to come in next week, I'm coming the week after, and then this becomes, all right, I'll change that, but I'll let the doctor know. And then they can have that discussion with you, right? And then you just have to make sure, as a doctor, you're having that discussion. Hey, you missed. We're behind. I'm concerned we're not going to get the result. So we need to make that up. I'm going to need to see you twice this week. And we better get twice next week. I don't want to do that. All right. I can work with you on this format, but we're not really going to move forward. And so I just need to be honest with you about that. If you want to go down this pathway, I'll still do what I can, but we're not going to see the results you were looking for. Is that fair? All right. Or
sweet.
I go do weekly. All right. Listen, we're going to still do our re-exam mini re-exam in 4 weeks. If that's not where it should be, we will have to have another discussion. Fair? Fair. Cool. Anything else on our new patient?
Can you just quickly run through that 3-option model again?
So like it's basically what to expect with your body. Your body's either going to feel great and stay feeling great. And usually I'll say to them, like you should already feel like the body's lighter and moves better. And then that's either going to keep getting better and stay better. It's going to keep getting better, and then it's going to start to drop back, which is our most likely one because your body's been behaving this way for a long time. Or some people will pull up, kind of like you took a big gym session the next day. Bit of movement, a bit of water will minimize that. But if it does happen, it's actually a really positive thing for us. So don't be stressed.
That's good. Covering all bases, kind of
Yeah.
just.
And then we send a text message the next day. It's automated from the front desk that says, "Hey, it's not Nathan here. I just wanted to ask you to see if you had any questions. Know how you feel after your appointment." And then we also send the link for them to do their outcome measure. So again, if they do come up, like if something major comes up, which happens like once a year, then we get that forwarded on. But usually the front desk just manages it for us. Most of the time when I've had that, I've called the patient, and what they suggested to the CA was a far cry from the reality. It's like, "Oh, I think I've like blown a disc. I've got radiating pain down my leg." And you call them, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a bit stiff and muscle sore down the back of the leg. Is that normal?" "Yeah, it's normal." "Oh, cool. All right, see you Thursday." Right? You catch someone in a weird state.
Yeah.
Cool. Spinal screenings. So
Oh,
there's a big module on this for those that haven't seen it. It's in the external marketing modules. This was asked by Laura. She obviously used to be a CA, so she's done a lot of screening as a CA, but it's the first time she's doing it as a student chiropractor, soon to be chiropractor. It's not really that different, but there's simple sort of strategies to make it worth your time. Because anytime we're going to do something, it has to be worth your time, right? There's no point in going to events and coming home and nobody's booked in, no faces are getting laid down, and you're like, we did some great education, right? I've been there, I've said that. It was rarely worth your time, right? So if you're doing these things, whether it's at a gym, a market, or in a business, it needs to be worth your time. So you need to have some processes and strategy for it, right? So all this comes back from the offer. Like, what is your offer? In general, it's going to be a new patient offer, right? So very few of these are going to work if you're just like, "Come in, our new patient is $150. Like, there has to be some kind of bonus to get it moving. You can definitely do it, but it's a much harder sell, right? So you need to have some kind of offer. That offer can still be $150, but it could be for you and your partner. So you double it up, right? You could also do it as it's a discount. It's a $79 today. It's a market special. And then the third option, which I really like, is what we call a charity close, where it's like, "I'm here raising money for the Australian Spinal Research Foundation. Instead of charging $140, it's $50, and we donate all that money to spinal research," right? So it takes you apart from the finances. They feel like they're doing a good thing. And then because there's money exchanged, people actually come in, right? So first up, you've got to have the offer. Because if you don't have an offer, you're nothing, right? You then need to know what you're dealing with. If I'm going into a 24/7 gym, I want that gym to have done some serious promotion beforehand. Ideally, I want to book mini consult slots. So my screening will actually be like miniature exams, trying to explain what I'm finding, and then bringing them in, trying to get them to book the consult to actually be able to deep dive it, right? Because I guarantee you, who would have done that? I think, Sean, you've probably done this already. Like when you were standing on the floor of the 24/7 gym
Oh, yeah.
with like a spinal screen banner, and like every prick's just like, "I got my headphones in, I do not want to be talked at," right? And so you have to go on the offensive, right? You have to be, and I worked as one of those guys that sells raffle tickets out the front of like bloody supermarkets at one stage. It was a horrendous job. I once spent a 12-hour day in Kalamunda in the rain for a grand total of $5 I made for the day. But I got real good at getting people to say no, right? So you have to just be like, "Well, my time's here, let's do it." "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" "You're squatting." "It's a nice squat." Let me like anything like you see a chiropractor before, like, have those chats. My preference in gyms is do talks because that at least people actually come to them. And I tend to find that CrossFit style gyms tend to be better at it. But if you're doing a gym, try and get the gym to do almost mini consult or bring an evaluation metric, posture pros, grip strength, like get a game going that gets people involved. So you can have an offer that has like test your strength, right? Test your posture, like give them a metric to rate them, like give them a B plus, an A, give them a 70 out of 100, right? Like I know I think it was Taylor Vag used to do one where they would do a posture pro and like a Fukuda's test, and they had marking criteria, and then they would grade people, right? And then based on their grade, they would then sell the offer. So you've given them a reason. Market stalls. So I'm the first to admit I don't love screenings. It's not my like greatest power. My associate Ed, absolute master of it. If we're honest, it's because he's a carny and he grew up around the market, so he feels at home with the crew. Let's be honest about what's going on there. The man crushes, right? So one of the things he's very good at is saying hello to everyone, right? If you stand, like, never stand with something between you and people. Never have a desk in the way, anything like that. That's a barrier, right? In fact, literally stand in the footpath out front of your store and chat to everyone. Hey, what's going on? What's happening? What's doing? If they've got, we're in WA, if they've got an Eagles jersey on, you're like, Eagles support. Like, give yourself a reason to talk to them, right? And then usually, because people are polite, they're like, oh, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I'm from Medical Chiropractic. I'm from Murdoch Student Clinic. I'm from Functional Sports Chiropractic.
Yeah, close it up. Yeah. Well, it's bang on. It's bang on.
I was like, I've almost butchered this. But, like, what I'm doing today is this. Do you want to get checked out? Like, and then they'll say yes or no. If they say no, hey, no stress. We're here all weekend if you really want to go chat, right? And so you just have that process, but you have to be out there pestering people. And everyone that sort of waves you off, you're just like, no worries, have a great day. If you do want to come back, we'll be here, right? So a no is just not a yes yet in a lot of cases. But if you leave the door open, right? So you just have to go. Don't go spend 4 hours sitting behind the thing waiting for someone to come to you. No one is coming to you. And once they come in, if you're in a microstall, spinal screen touch and tell exam is the easiest, right? I've done these at expos. We don't even have a table. We just have a chair. We only check cervical spine. And on the old person, you'll turn them sideways in the chair and check them on my spine, right? You just feel through and you'll tell them things. It's like, hey, see how that moves? See how that doesn't? Feel that sore behind there? Yeah. Hey, commonly when you have issues here, people get headaches, neck pain. Do you get that? I do. Right? Oh, all right. That's interesting. And you keep working through. And in the end, you're like, hey, there's a few issues going on. If you would like a deeper examination, see how we actually get on top of that, that's why we're here. We have this offer. So not only do you benefit, but we're raising money for this. Right? So it starts with the offer. It then goes to the process, depending on the location. And then you got to be a pest. Not a rude pest, but a pest. Like, we took Maxine down as a CA and just basically threw her at people. And because she's really nice, they all wanted to come say hey, right? Like, you just have someone there, right? Like, pick the right people. Like, there's certain people that it's a great strategy for. Laura, who will be watching this on the replay, great personality for a screening, right? Big vibe.
Second that.
Will absolutely crush it through that, right? So she doesn't need to stress, but she just needs to have a process, right? If that's not your vibe, hanging around in like carnivals with people, go do it a few times and see if you can actually make it worthwhile. Like I always say, there's never a never, because sometimes you'll do it and you'll be like, I don't love it, but I got 8 new patients, so I can not love it enough to do that again. But if you do it repeatedly and you notice that you are stepping in, like blocking yourself, you're not doing what you should, you're just trying to kill that time, then you have to admit sometimes it's not the strategy for you. And your strategy may be like, I love personal networking and doing talks. That works great for me over screenings, right? You will always find your thing, but the only way you find your thing is by doing it repeatedly. When it comes to a spinal screening, it is the game of work back from the offer, process, and then get involved. All right? Any questions on spinal screenings or general marketing before we wind this baby up tonight? No, good. All right. So key dates to have in the calendar. We have a double month of masterclasses because I got excited. And this happens all too often, but you're going to deal with it because they're great. So Wednesday, 10th September, 6:30, we have masterclass with Dr. Taylor Vag all around pregnancy and pediatric care. Taylor has, former owner of Fremantle Chiropractic. Her father started Ken Vag Fremantle Chiropractic many, many moons ago. She actually gave me my first adjustment as a 17-year-old. So cool circle there. She has a diplomat in pediatric care and has worked with pregnant women in pediatrics for better part of 20 years now. Absolutely incredible practitioner. That's where I send all pediatrics down to from my practice. Thursday, 4th September, 5 p.m, we will have our next Q&A through there. This one will be an open one. We're probably going to start integrating our tracking, which I talked about previously, but we'll deeper dive that soon. And then Thursday, the 23rd September, 6 p.m, masterclass with Dr. James Evans. James is actually interesting. He's also a lactation consultant. He is massive on pregnancy and the birth process. I know we're doubling it up for the boys. I know it's a lot of vagina for those that have hung around in the old Austin Powers time. But this is important. Like pregnancy care, no matter how you choose to practice, is one of the I love pregnancy care. It's fun. It's not hard. They're great patients. They're great people, and you can make massive, massive changes just by adjusting people normally. So these two are incredible. James is actually coming to Perth in October teaching. His little 1 and 2 day workshops are worth your time. Simple, impactful, well and truly worth it. And then our next, what's an A&A? It's Alcohol's Anonymous, apparently. It should be a Q. Wednesday, 1st of October, 6:30 p.m. We will be Q&A again. So some big things coming up. We then have PJ Mason from CNS on the Gold Coast talking all things running a multidisciplinary practice as our masterclass in October. So some pretty cool things coming up. And just to add up, Matthew Doyle reached out to me. He will be in Perth shortly. He is about to finish his PhD in pediatric chiro. So he'll also be jumping on soon. We're just waiting to see when he's going to have Starlink available. But some big things coming through. But if there are no further questions, that is us for tonight.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sweet.
And then, as really importantly, especially Lachlan, but Ethan, Sean, Sean, if anything comes up in the meantime, definitely drop those questions in the group, because often it's you sort of stew on it, you go have a sauna, which is what I'm hoping to do tonight, and then suddenly your brain's like, need to ask that. So make sure you're dropping it in. But appreciate all of you. Have a great night.
Great, thank you, Nathan.
Absolute pleasure, mate. And I will figure
Thanks,
out how
Doc.
Yeah, mate.
Thank you, Nathan.
I'll see you all very soon.